audio on so we can do a sound check.
Sound check.
Sound check.
I'm pretty sure it's working. We've been communicating on it all week.
That's right. I got some time in this morning.
Ha! I did not. I didn't play today.
I got a little time in this morning. Wanted to go on a few. If anybody's listening to this part of it, we're talking about Fallout 76. So here in the pre-show, I want to go on a few runs to get some more ammo and for shotgun and so on, and also do a few of the lower level, more my level events that I can do on my own and level up. So I'm 30 now. And in the process of doing this, I found a thing that's only like 2 cap jump from my base, just really close. And at that place, there's lots of low-level scorched. And so I can go there and kill them, one shot, one kill type thing. So I get some points there. There is a power armor there with a fusion core in it.
Wow.
And there's another fusion core there. So if the run's totally successful, I pick up 2 fusion cores. The one this morning only got 1, but I got the power armor too.
I was Rich came on last night, and I've had the New River Gorge West Gate Bridge key for a while, and when I was up there, I accidentally found the East Gate key. So now I can get into both ends of the bridge, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
But I don't have your production feed.
Oh, yeah. Let me call that guy.
Call that dude, man. A little bit here before.
What's that?
I played a little bit here just before we were rolling, but not much. I was pretty much doing that up there. There we go. That's better. Oh, Skype though.
Oh yeah, I got your video. Okay.
I'm using Skype's.
I'm still bright.
I don't know if it's the dark theme or whatever, but man, it's just they have these white translucent bars everywhere. They're just all over the screen. Wow. It's a mess. Yeah, it's all messed up.
Holy crap! Okay, I'm probably not going to be able to fix it because even the setting when I change it during the call won't stick. Maybe it's because I called my other guy. Maybe now it'll stick. No one is seeing that other than you. You probably don't stare at me during the show.
I watch the show feed, so I know where we're at.
Right.
So.
Right,
I've got a screen share tonight too. So.
Okay, so let me get that ready. Do that, and I'm going to go ahead and just start recording because we're not that far off.
Okay.
Then I can get this red piece of paper off my desk.
You need like one of those beer hats, that they have in game, only a sign hat where you hang signs off the front of your head so they're right there no matter where you go. Don't forget to record. Make sure you got enough space.
Yep. I did that earlier. So I'm considering build my base closer to that spot I was talking about. I need to get the name of the place so I can tell you what I'm talking about, but because it has a lot of it has some resources there. I still like my place, so I'm not totally wanting to leave.
I think Walter's going to play later tonight. He's got family stuff, so
dang family stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to probably get on a little bit later, and I think I might move. I'm not sure.
Well, I am going to play after this, and
then take the day off from work tomorrow. No,
I got to go into work tomorrow. It's a busy week next week, so I can't stay too late. But I'll play some after this.
That's what you say all the time, Mike, and then it's 1:30 in the morning.
I can't do that. I will not be able to function tomorrow very well.
That's not good for you, man.
Yeah. All right, so we're still about 3 minutes out. But I want to do that one run again. Let me double check our. Can you say something?
Hello. This is about where I'm at right here.
We're not too hot. We're good.
Not too hot.
Not too hot. Yeah, you know, it's funny. After you start playing this game, I'm sure you do this even more than me, is you see the things in real life. Like when I was in Lowe's today, and I saw
Yeah, it
that tool.
cracked me up.
I saw that toolbox, and it's like, oh boy, that looks just like the one in the game.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the real trip is actually visiting a place that they feature like in these video games, like games like Watch Dogs 2, and then going to San Francisco or playing GTA 5 and then going to Los Angeles. Or it's pretty incredible
Yeah.
how well they do the modeling of some of these places. Now, of course, the Fallout universe in West Virginia is, very fictional, but and it's not proportional. It's never proportional,
Yeah.
but it's amazing how well they nail some of the features to, that when you go there and you visit, you're like, oh man, I've actually been to this place. Like Boston from Fallout 4, Boston is really mind-numbingly good. When you go to Boston and you see some of the sites and stuff there, and it's in the game. It's pretty neat.
I bet that is. And for you, now we haven't got to the insane asylum in the game. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. Did that feel anything like what you really saw?
The clock tower and everything looks like the real deal, but no, it wasn't. It was enough so you saw it, you would know it, but it wasn't like a picture perfect representation. Now the Greenbrier is pretty darn good from the entrance view. When you look at Greenbrier in the game and then you go to Greenbrier itself, it looks Greenbrier, I can say it. It looks pretty well close to it. So it's not exact, but I've had people who went to the Fallout event there in West Virginia, and they actually saw that it was, they went to their table that they were sitting at, and they're like, this is the exact carpet and everything. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
That's good. That is cool.
Yep.
Hello, Nancy and Christina. I think earlier I typed Wendy and Jan. Hello.
Yeah, Wendy's out there. She said she'll stop in now and again when she can and chat, but she's watching. And Jan, ever faithful Jan, is out there. Awesome. Hope you guys had a nice Thanksgiving. I know I did. So.
I did too. And we'll be starting here in just a second. Need to let Facebook catch up.
Good old Facebook.
Let it start.
Facebook making television shows now.
Really?
Yeah, they bought the rights to Firefly and
what?
Something else. Yep.
They're gonna do Firefly?
So yeah, on our on Hulu of all places, we're getting advertisements for Facebook TV.
Well, I hope. Here's the problem: can you get the cast back for Firefly? And I don't know if you can get the cast back. So it's gonna be, there's so much to make a show. I know we're about to start here, but he just said Firefly, so now he's distracted. So we'll start in just a second. But I mean, the characters there, that just once you go this far, they spread all over the place. Getting them back together or recasting it with a new cast that's going to be as good. It's really hard to recapture that magic, I think.
I think it's too soon. So it's too soon to recast. Like Lost in Space worked really well. Mm-hmm. I love the reboot of Lost in Space. I love the original Lost in Space. It was its own campy thing, but man, the new Lost in Space is like drama.
Yeah.
And great cast and great actors and good story. And I think that it's been so long since I got to watch it all again, but I think they're coming out soon with a new season of that. I really enjoyed that. So, we'll see. Facebook is not worth it for me to I won't go back on Facebook to just sort of watch Firefly.
Yeah.
So,
well, their problems continue. So,
yep.
But we're streaming live Facebook and YouTube tonight. We're going to get started right now. You ready, AD?
Yep.
Okay. All right, this is JPEG Raw Photo Review, show number 41. Tonight we're wrapping up the September images. So we'll catch up here quickly. But if you want to enter, because now, even though we're talking about September ones, the current contest is the December contest, which December is our best of the year contest. And we have both the regular group, the beginners group. You can do it right here from our website, which is jpegdurrell.com/contest, or the links to the Facebook groups are right underneath that. Just scroll down if I can get there. Yeah, the links are right there, and that makes it even easier to enter. You just go over to our Facebook page, our group, should say group, search for JP Durrell, the beginner to regular, and the album, the post in is going to be right there at the top. So just go right there at the top, and you can post right in there. The rules are a little different for the December one. Unlike the monthly one where you can enter up to 2 images, the December one is a little different where you can enter any image you entered in a monthly contest, and you can re-edit it. And I know somebody has already done that. They took some of the feedback you gave them during the show, AD, edited it, and re-entered it. So you can enter any of those. You know, if you think this is one of my best shots, you can enter any of those. And you can enter another new image that you took during 2018. So unlike a monthly where it has to be in the month, this can be taken anywhere in the year of 2018. And you'll have till the end or the first part. I think we can give you a little extra time into January to enter. And then the judging is a little different. There's links there to tell you how the judging works. There will be some kind of prize. I haven't figured out what it's going to be, but unlike the monthly ones, there will be some kind of prize too. So be looking for that. That's coming up soon. All right, let's get right into the photos there, AD. And we have the first one up. I'm not even set. From the beginners group, this first one up is from Nancy Smith. And Nancy says, "Oh, I always thought taking photos of random people could be interesting yet scary if they notice and don't like it. This is from Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan has an event every September called Bikes and Bricks. I noticed this woman sitting back on her bike doing her own people watching and couldn't resist taking a photo."
Cool. Yeah, that's I wouldn't have got that from the photo. I know that's not, I don't know if you do, Mike, at all. I just kind of think she's kind of relaxing, hanging out there. I think it's a good photo.
Yeah.
But it's an event shot. I don't know, without the context of the event to match it with, I'm not sure it does a whole lot for me as far as, emotion or whatnot. It just kind of looks like she's looking the opposite way everybody else is looking, sort of thing. That's kind of the basic thing that I get out of it. But a lot of times we talk about photos in here, and you'll hear me say like those same things, like I'm not getting that feeling or something. Don't think that that's like anything bad against the photo, because a lot of these photos will work perfect if you're writing a blog and you're writing about this event. That'd be a great photo for that. Mm-hmm. That's an event photo, a shot of someone enjoying themselves, watching everybody else, checking stuff out and whatnot. So if you put this with context, some writing with this, then this photo is going to work great. It's well shot. The color's good. It's tough to get things like those tents in the background not blown out a little bit from the light because of the, they're pure white and the sun and everything hits off those. But it would be fine for something like that. As far as, if we're talking about framed artwork, it's not quite. I don't think it's quite there. Because they have basically, when you look at a photo and you want to frame it and put it on the wall, it really has to be strong in story and theme, all on its own with no text. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just got to be able to speak. And so we always, when we go out and take these photos, it's so hard, right, to turn off your brain and say your brain's filling in all the blanks, right? So when you take a photo, I think what a lot of people struggle with is their brain is going, okay, there's all this stuff going on and everything is in there. So, okay, I'll take this photo because I like this person on the bike. And then, they show it to somebody else, and the other person is, if it's their friend, they're probably right. They don't get it.
Yeah.
Right. Because you were there and your brain poofed all that information and colors in this photo way more glamorous than it actually, shows up on in the digital form or film or whatever. So it's a tough discussion because you have a photo that's well taken. She's in the thirds. We talk about that a lot. There's a lot going on in the photo, and if we're talking about a piece of art, it's one thing. If we're talking about a well documented photo, that's another thing. So keep that in mind when we're doing these. A lot of times I'll come from the aspect of someday you'll want to sell your prints. So I come at them from an art aspect. But technically, and things we don't talk about a lot sometimes is we kind of skip over the fact that someone took a technically good photo, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's this. I think it's technically good. Nancy, always, doing this is difficult as far as shooting out. If you want to, think about blending a little bit. Some of your famous documentary photographers blended art and documentary together, and that was the magic, being able to mix the matter-of-fact shot and with with a well thought out background and all that kind of stuff, but not setting it up. It was just showed up. There was the shot, bam, captured it, If you're thinking about that, think about the background. And here in this photo, we have the woman and she's the main subject here, but you captured it right when there was a guy right behind her. And it would have been much more balanced if maybe 1 second past this, he was moving forward a little bit and she wasn't, his head wasn't coming right out of her.
I like the guy to our right of her with the Harley Davidson. You got it with the bikes. You already knew that she was at some bike event.
Right.
The Harley Davidson helps, but the guy directly behind her, you would like him to pass on.
Yeah, and showing the group of, I think for me, what I get out of the story here. So I was in a bike club for a number of years. I built my own Harley. I was huge into it. And I just got to the point where it was a hardtail Sportster 1250. And it was a chopper, so it was not the most easy thing to ride. I had the 16-inch ape hangers, so my arms were like this all the time when I'm riding down the road.
There's like 7 different versions of you.
I got some photos, man. So I like to live life, man. Yeah. I like to go out and do things. So one of the things about the culture that was difficult was, so when you're in a bike group, and we won't go too deep into this, but when you're in a bike group, you have just normal guys. We go out on the weekends, we tool around, we make a little tour, stop for ice cream. It's a big joke, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're big, tough guys stopping for ice cream, right? Yeah, but hell, we are, yeah. So ice cream's good. So we all roar in our big motorcycles. We get out and say, could I have a single scoop of vanilla, please, with chocolate sprinkles on it? So we used to always make that. I mean, that was a great group. It was called the Southern Tier Cruisers, and we went all over the place. And at one point, I was approached by someone else in another group, in a private bike group. And they were like, we'd like to have you in our group, serious, like real serious in my face. Like, your wife, she can't be in the group until we allow her in the group. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah. I don't think so. I said, she goes where I go,
right?
Or she goes on her own. And I said, she probably can ride a bike better than most of you guys can. So, no, thanks, but I'm going to pass. And I think this photo, what it does for me is it kind of, you got all the guys, hanging out, doing their guy things, but you got this pretty badass lady sitting here, just kind of chilling. And I think that's what this photo, like from a biker standpoint, there's that real divisional line in biker groups. And so I think this is kind of a cool, especially this time of life and era that we're in right now, where, we would like to see more ladies out there and more presence. And so I think this is a very cool photo in that respect. So, and I don't think there's much more to say about it unless you have something, Mike. I just want to say that, shot. Nancy, I think she said this, and I think she's saying this in here, that, she's wants to take these kind of people shots, but it's a little intimidating to take shots of people.
I got to imagine in a biker group, if you're not used to that that environment, that may be even more intimidating. But lots of bikers,
Right.
like I'm sure if we'd have came across AD in that time frame, there's lots of bikers who are just normal people, who are nice, normal people, and you approach them, and some of them wouldn't mind you taking photos of them. And there's a lot of, I like character in a person's face.
Yep.
There's a lot of
Yep.
character in some of these guys and ladies' faces, and it would it's a good opportunity, a lot of photo opportunities there. So I want to commend her, commend Nancy for going out there and doing that and taking photos here.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important takeaway. Nancy does not do anything like light. Most of us would be like, well, we'll head down to the senior home and take some photos where we won't get the snot beat out of us if someone doesn't like us. But no, Nancy goes to a biker rally and is like, yeah, I'm just gonna go around taking photos and see what happens. So yeah, so definitely some kudos there.
All right. Well, thank you, Nancy. All right. Up next is this image from Christina Binge. And
Hey.
Christina says, I woke up this AM to a giant like this could catch my dog in it. A spider web on my deck. It was shimmering in the morning sun with dewdrops all over it. I first checked to see if there was a 6 foot 7 inch spider who lived in it, which I do not like spiders. Once I saw he wasn't home, I grabbed my camera and captured this. I got to admit, it's beautiful in the sun, but I hope the spider moved along to a mansion far, far away.
Well, I'll tell you, Christina, this is a beautiful shot. I like the light here personally. I think it's real pretty. My only concern is anytime I see a web like this and no spider, I'm like, where's the spider?
Yes.
But no, I think that's cool. One of the cool things you can do with this, a lot of times, this looks like that it was a fairly like non-humid, not a lot of dew, is grab yourself a little spray bottle. Because it's really tough to knock these things down. They're really strong, and take a little spray bottle and spray the web, and you can get the big droplets on there, and that's really dramatic with the light behind it. But I love the color and everything. I think this is a great photo. And
I love these kind of spider web shots. I don't like spiders, but I like the spider webs.
Yeah,
and she completely, edge to edge is the spider web.
Right.
Like
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, I like it a lot. This is a cool shot. And I don't know, it's kind of an art kind of shot. It's spider webs are when you find one of these that's built this well, it's usually pretty difficult to find them still intact. Mm-hmm. So, oh no, she said she sprayed Raid on him and he is no more. Poor spider.
Hey, you know what? You venture too close. All right.
That Mike, I just want to say the ladies are starting out really brutal tonight. I mean, first a biker thing and then like
attacking
spider
spiders.
exterminator. Yeah. I mean, geez, suddenly our Fallout gaming doesn't seem that bad.
I need Nancy, Christina's number so I can call her in to come take care of my spiders.
Right.
Hello, Molly. Molly's out there.
Hey, Molly.
All right. So you ready to head to the next one?
Molly's my neighbor, believe it or not. She's just up the road from me, about an hour. Yeah.
Well, hello, Molly. All right.
Molly has seen me. Molly has seen me on my motorcycle. Yes, Molly's seen me on my bike. So she, in fact, I think maybe that might have been the first time we drove up and met her. She lives at this place called Sodus Point, which is a beautiful lighthouse up in upstate New York. And I think she does remember me on a motorcycle. I'm sure.
Oh yes, she says.
Yep.
All right, next is this image from, I got the names all mixed up.
Millen,
yeah. I got the order of my names mixed up. And I got the order of the photos mixed up. I'm totally messed up. All right, we skipped ahead a couple photos there, AD. We'll come back.
That's all right, man.
All right.
Sure.
This one's from our friend Millen, and he says, these grapes are known in Bulgaria as Viola. Hey, that's the last name of my sister. After she got married, Viola. I think it is related to Italian sort. Yep, she married an Italian. It is very delicious, but I prefer it was wine. Why I took this image? Well, at the end of this month, we'll gather the grapes to produce wine. So I thought, let's see, got that covered. Thought it would be nice addition to my images to have some more grape shots.
Nice.
Then he goes into the settings.
Yeah. I think, yeah, you did skip a few on me. Wow.
I know. I'll come back.
So yeah, Millen, I like this a lot. You've got 3 bunches of grapes there. I think is cool. My question on this photo essentially came down to toning and your crop on it, because it seems like it's like an ultra wide crop. It's not, it looks like it's maybe 16 by 9 or so, which is odd for me. It just seems like there's like, I want to see that one bunch of grapes maybe a little bit more towards the edge. So you can almost chop that leaf right off of there, because I'm not sure it's doing much for you. And the green in the leaf is kind of what's bothering me with the tones. I usually like to take shots like this, Mike, and I don't know if it's up to you, but when there's sun involved, I like to work a little on the warm side of the white balance, and just simply to give that warm, sunny feeling. And this seems just a little cold to me, and I don't know if you're getting that as well, but it just seems like it's a little bit on the blue side.
Yeah, I mean, the grapes are blue, so I wouldn't want to go, personally, I wouldn't want to go too far with the warm.
Well, I don't think that they would change all that much, but the light is white.
Okay.
So the light on the grapes, yeah.
Right.
And I just wonder if it would, if it would be a little bit more inviting, make you want to grab one of those things if it was a little bit more on the warm. And his story is that it was right in the sun.
Yes.
Hear that?
Didn't you say that?
I think so.
Maybe he didn't say that. It was Christina who said that, I think, in her shot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and this is one, if they'll allow you into the vineyard, which I've been a couple of times, upstate New York in the Finger Lakes wine country, we have a lot of vineyards here, and they're it's a lot of times they won't let you anywhere near the grapes. I mean, it's just you're not allowed anywhere near them. Right. So, but if you are, if you can, if you have some that you grow yourself, or they have sometimes they'll have like a little vineyard that's there purposefully for people to go out and pick some of the grapes and eat them. But then the production grapes are grown, in a field that you can't go near, just for contamination purposes or to hurt the vines or anything like that. They're very careful with that. So, and I think that Christina says that too. I think it does come down to the light for me. Christina is a little harsh on the image, and that's kind of why I would kind of warm it up. Generally, if you play around with the white balance slider, it's really interesting, but you can gain a lot of exposure by moving the white balance over to the yellow side a little bit without making it too yellow. Mm-hmm. You can experiment that. Yeah, the light is a little harsh. I'm not sure. Did he use a flash with this?
He did not say if he did.
He did a lot of cloning work, he said, on it, and that's cool. I do like to, to clean it up sometimes. You don't want to see any rotten spots on the grapes and that. I will tell you guys too, if you like shooting grapes, some of the most beautiful time for grapevines is actually in November here in the Northeast, really? Where the grapevines turn a bright red to orange color, and it's they have their own autumn. But it's very late into the cold season when they start to change. It's really brilliant. So if you ever miss peak week and you can go someplace where they have climbing grapevines or anything, that it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Well, it's making me want to have some grapes. I mean, these are
yeah, for sure. So it does work. That's right.
All right, let's head back to the order we're supposed to be in.
Yep.
Which is this image here from Daryl Harrington.
Awesome.
Yeah, now we're back on track. All right, Daryl says, while on my annual trip to New York City on 9/11, I remembered these railings that have various phrases on them. Low clouds were muting the tribute lights, so after a crowd moved on, I turned to Brooklyn Bridge and did a little light painting. Nice. On various words along the fence.
Yeah, so this is in Dumbo, so... which is a little park it's down in Brooklyn, and I've been here a million times. And it's Mike, if you ever get a chance to get up here, and I think that you and Tim and I, because I saw that some people were interested in this happening, I think you, Tim, and I should meet up in New York City.
Yeah, y'all can show me around.
Yeah, and I've got family in New York City, so I have some place to stay in Brooklyn, and we can show you around Manhattan. We can take you over to Dumbo at night. There's a beautiful carousel over here. It's amazing. I know of a couple of areas where you can get some very unique shots of the Freedom Tower between the spires of the bridge just perfectly, and
Wow.
this is a great park. And I've been in this park at 3 in the morning, and it's just never an issue down there. It's just amazing, and really cool place. My question to Daryl would be: I think this is a beautiful photo. I love this area. I have to admit, New York City is one of my favorite cities. I wondered about the crop. Does the crop seem like a little like too traditional?
Like very square.
Well, it's very square, and it seems like it was chopped up, and I'm not sure.
If there was something over on one of the sides that he had to do that for.
Maybe, I don't know. But it does. So when we use a wider crop, it gives us a more kind of epic feel. And this is a very epic shot, and it's beautiful, right? But I can't, he's got everything in it nice, and maybe he cropped it this way specifically for a print, a traditional crop print. I'm not sure. It's just I'm not used to seeing it. That's probably my only comment. But a beautiful night shot. It looks like he shot this probably. If you beginners are out there, you notice that there are some stars that appear on all the lights. If you shoot, usually at about f8 or higher. Usually I try to shoot a little higher, long exposure. You can get those nice stars to appear around all the lights, which are always nice to see. But yeah, you did a great job here. I don't know, maybe Daryl, the f-stop that you were using, I'm not sure, but you might want to focus stack if you do one of these shots. And because the sign to me, when the words, starts out at BEA in beautiful, that area seems to be a little out of focus. And so a little soft in there. So I think and that might be just because I'm looking at it on this screen and the way it is. So
it's hard for me to tell because it's a hole and you're seeing the river behind it too, which gives me a
that's
weird...
in focus. But so look at the bar above the B, and that the glare on the bar looks way out of like real soft to me. And then the end of the bar, the fence or whatever it was there, the gate. That looks like that's in nice and focus in there. So, and it can be hard, especially if you're doing like a long exposure or whatnot. But capturing a few extra frames, right, can sometimes just make all of that be in nice and focus for you. And it's definitely a big part of the photo. But I think it's cool if it's a little out of focus. He might have wanted it that way. We don't have a whole lot of context here.
True.
People are telling stories about how they got to the place that they took the photo and the settings. That means nothing to me. I'm sure you got there and you used the settings, but tell me why you did this composition this way, or tell me what your thoughts were on processing the color. That's what we can help you take your photos to the next level. If I don't know that, I can just tell you what I would do.
We can just assume why we think he might have done a square crop like that.
Right. And you know what assuming does. So, I can so take it with a grain of salt, Daryl, because we don't know. And again, we say this every show, but I'll say it again. Feel free to reach out to me on my website. We'll talk about that a little later about how you can do that. Y'all want to send me some photos and have me process them and make you a video? We'll do that too. But that way I can connect with you directly and we can talk about what you're going for, maybe, accelerate your photography to the next level. And it's not because, and keep this in mind too, I don't automatically think I'm a better photographer than you and that I can take a better shot than you and guide you towards making that shot. What I am is a really good person to motivate other people to do things. And so I put ideas in people's heads to help them get over their creative blocks. It makes me no better than anybody else other than the fact that I have the talent to be able to do that for people. So I don't come at it like, oh, my photos are way better than anybody's. That's not how I look at it. It's really, I just have the ability to see where people have like a roadblock or they're running up a creative roadblock. And I try to not remove the roadblock for them, but give them a way around it or over it. That's the key. So a lot of times when I speak with confidence and try to instill that in people. Even you, Mike, I think has said to me a couple of times, "Oh yeah, I heard your voice in my head when I was." And so that's the whole idea, right? Is that and I've even had students tell me they hate that. They're like, "Yeah, I used to enjoy taking photos, so now all I can do is hear you in my head." And I said, "Don't worry, it goes away. Don't worry."
Even tonight with Millen's grapes, that's the first thing I thought when I looked at it was, three sets,
right?
And I got that from you. I learned that from you.
Yep. So keep it up, Daryl. Everything I've seen. From all you guys, not just Daryl, but I mean, it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, that, everybody who submits photos to this group is amazing. So I've never seen someone submit, and I know you guys will do it at some point. You'll submit something that's like really horrible, and you'll expect me to try to pick something good out of it. So, but yeah, all right. Keep it up, Joe. Good stuff.
Up next is this. Yep, I'm on track. This image from Jose. Get his name.
Matutina.
Jose Matutina. I wasn't going to say it. And he said, I felt that I was not photographing enough portraits, so I went to a Civil War reenactment in our area. I'd love to go to one of those someday. I've never gone.
That's great.
Yeah. Yep. I might have stepped down too much. I might have stepped down too much that I haven't blurred the background enough. Anyway, I love the way she looked engrossed in her work. Engrossed in her own world under the tree. Vignetting was applied at post, and then he goes into some of his other settings.
Yeah, first off, Jose, beautiful photo. Creatively, can I give you any creative suggestions? I wouldn't have worried about stepping down for the background as much as the basket in front. A little bit, but that's okay. She's the story here. So the basket's cool the way it is. I like the bokeh the way it is in the background. I don't think it needs to have any more. With me, though, I will tell you two things with this photo that I think would help it a little bit. The branch going through her head is one of those things I tell everybody, watch your backgrounds, man, because they will come back. And I've gone out and taken beautiful photos of people only to find out when I'm processing that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see that post sticking out of the top of their head. It's just like, why didn't I see that when I was there? And so now I consciously, look at the person's face, and then I don't look at them. I look at everything else but them to see if anything else in the photo is trying to override or make a mark or anything like that. This is a pretty powerful photo. I think with a little post-processing, he could have maybe taken some of the light out of that branch, and it wouldn't have been as highlighted in the background, and maybe this would still be fine. The other thing for me is I would have probably muted the color a little bit. If this is kind of like a period photo, so, she's in period dress and all that kind of stuff, the thing that takes us out of belief of that is the full rich color, which wouldn't have been available during that time unless it was like a painting or something. So for me, I kind of would have looked at maybe sepia tone or maybe a tintype kind of process to make this more kind of give that period look to it. Other than that, it's a beautiful photo. I mean, excellent job with the focus. Everything looks good. Caught a good moment. Just that background, man, be careful. It's
that's something we all have to look for, because I make that mistake too. It's so easy
to
not see it in person.
Yeah,
you get so focused on all the other things you need to do, and you miss that. Go ahead, Mike. It could have just been bright out, or whatever else. You see all this bright stuff behind you, and it may not have been noticeable when you looked at it. But I would think that when you looked at it on the back of the camera, you might have seen it. So I don't know. Yeah. It's easy to miss.
Yeah, it is. And so, you think about when we look in our camera, we're looking for focus. So we're looking at our subject, right? And that's exposure, the thing. Yeah. Right. And that's what's like pulling us away from that background. We're constantly, we're focused on our subject. That's the, that is what we do. So it's very hard to make sure that all the supporting actors in the backgrounds and the foregrounds and everything are basically playing along with your idea of the photo because they are constantly trying to screw up your photo all the time. So, yeah.
People always trying to photobomb you, or things trying to
Yeah,
photobomb
that's
you.
right. Yeah, you got that right. Keep it up, Jose. This is good stuff, man. I like it.
Yep. Okay, next is actually another Jose photo. It wasn't supposed to be in this order, but I messed up the order.
You do this on purpose.
So here's Jose again with his second entry. And
Nice.
this is obviously an infrared shot. He says,
Yep.
take with an infrared converted camera of the Mission San Juan I don't know. I'm not going to be able to say that.
Capistrano.
Capistrano.
Yep.
It
It's where the
was
swallows come back to, Mike.
really.
Yeah, the
did not
swallows
know
come
that.
back to Capistrano. I'm old, dude, so that's how I know things like this.
I got to be your age. Come on.
It was a famous movie, famous black and white movie.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
It was a sunny day with hardly a cloud in the sky. So, and infrared I like infrared with clouds in the sky. So,
Yep.
you know, that's bad there. I mean, it's not bad, but you missed that. It was a sunny day with hardly a cloud in the sky. So I took out my converted Sony A6000.
Yep.
And then he goes into some other settings with this. But yes, so this is an infrared shot. Obviously, did he say it must have been a ultra wide angle adapter?
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is a good example of submitting a photo without telling me anything to help you out. Because this is a false color process. You swap the red and blue channels. If you're not familiar with the way infrared goes, when this comes out of the camera, generally it's just a red mess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's generally what
awful.
it looks like, right? And what you'll do is first you want to swap the red and blue channels, and there's actually a plugin for Lightroom now that does that. You used to have to just go into Photoshop to do it, but you can do it in Lightroom now. That'll swap the red and blue channels, and then it also moves the red and blue channels outwards away from each other. And then you set your white balance on whatever was green in the image. And that will, all of a sudden your photo will pop and you'll have your false color image. This looked like it probably was around 700 nanometers. I have a similar camera that I converted myself to it. And it's one of the most fun things. If you've got, I always tell everybody, if
Uh-oh. We lost AD at a weird moment. Hold on. I don't know if he's hearing me. You guys can still hear me.
red.
Hold on,
One
AD.
of the, yep. Oh,
We
I
lost
froze
you.
up. Just the ND thing went off, buddy.
Yeah.
Are you getting audio still though? Right.
I am. My thing still says ND, but I don't seem to be getting it. Hold on, everybody. We'll come right back with ND. So I may
You
have
don't
to.
have to see me.
I may have to hang up on you and call you back. But let me go to the source.
That's just plain rude, Mike.
I know. Yeah, it's not seeing you. Let me call you right back.
Okay.
Hold on. All right, guys, hold on. I got to call AD back. Wait. Yeah, I got to hang up that one.
Hola.
Hola. So now let me call my other guy.
Oh, there my camera came on. Took its sweet time. And edit point.
Yes. Do it there.
Okay.
All right, now we got you back.
Jeez. That was weird.
Skype just
Thank you.
Skype just crashed. Like it just hung up the call over here, but it was still over there.
Yep. Everything's got all software has a mind of its own, folks. We're just days away from Skynet. Just telling you, just so you know, from what I've
Taking
experienced. Yeah.
You know,
So,
I hate
anyways,
robots.
yeah. Anyways, it's
Inside joke.
that is a very inside joke. All right. Anyway, this is a good example of like if like I said, if you got an old camera, the reason why I say keep it and get it converted to IR, and Mike, you have this as well, is when I get in a creative slump, man, and especially because it's a great noonday camera. It works really well when there's bright sun out. In fact, partly sunny days are beautiful with the clouds, and you can get that light on all of the chlorophyll in the leaves comes back as a white instead of green, and it is just such a fun thing to do. I mean, and you don't have to worry about not getting enough light half the time because infrared is really powerful.
Yeah.
And even in dark situations, you still get quite a bit of light that you don't even realize is there. And of course, it's invisible to our eyes, but through the camera, it's such a fun thing to do. So
yeah, and if not all of us can do what AD did and convert our cameras ourselves. So if you don't want
to,
none of us would successfully do it. If you don't convert a camera, you have to use a filter. Those filters, though, are going to make the exposure times really long for a lot of it. Because I was having middle of the day 6 to seconds plus exposure times. But I had I was thinking about my D2X, which is I bought this used back in the day, and it's a great pro level camera in its time, heavy as crap. And I was going to sell it when I was buying a new camera, but the value that I was going to get for it was just nothing. So I decided I'm going to send this off to LifePixel and have them convert it. Have them convert it. So I've had this one converted now because I had it converted and not using a filter anymore. All my lenses will work, for one. And two, I have fairly normal exposure times.
Yeah, and so what happens in the conversion, so all of these cameras come with UV and IR band filters. So essentially there's a little piece of glass on the front of your sensor, and that glass has a little bit of a coating on it that does not allow the upper bands of IR or the bands of UV to get into your sensor. So when you put the filter on front of your camera, what essentially you're doing is you're narrowing the bandwidth to only IR, and then when it gets to that other filter in your camera's like, no, that's not getting into the camera, but it can't stop all of it. That's why you had to use the super high. So when they convert it, what we do is we take the hot glass off, which is what that's called. That comes off your filter, off your sensor, I'm sorry. And then we replace that hot glass filter with a IR filter. And basically all I did was I watched a tutorial on how to do it. I used a glass cutter. I bought a 720 nanometer screw-on filter. I cut it out to the same size as my little hot glass filter and then stuck it on the front and put the sensor back in the camera, and boom, you've got an IR converted camera. When you send it in they're doing the exact same thing. That's exactly what they do. So I had the thing is my camera was not working. So I was like, the LCD doesn't work. I'm going to tear it apart and see what I can learn. Yeah. So, I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's not going to work because it doesn't work anyway. So I had nothing to lose. You're not going to want to do that with a working camera. LifePixel is they're great, and it's not expensive. And in fact, they just did a deal for I think $250 to convert a camera.
Mine was in that range. Yeah.
Yeah. So they always do deals around Black Friday every year with that stuff. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool and a lot of fun. And man, when you're feeling like you got no inspiration or it's the middle of the day and you're like, man, I haven't had any cool weather or anything like that. I can't go out and shoot portraits or what have you. You can take your IR camera out and just get some fantastical, crazy looking photos.
It's a fun thing to do. Yeah.
It is very fun. And this is great. A great use of the ultra wide here. I like the tall palm trees and the old chapel there in the background. It's very cool, Jose. And this is, IR is a lot of fun. My friend Lynn Wazicki does amazing IR photos. She she does them all the time and does a really nice job too. Very good stuff. And submit more. We love IR. But tell me when you submit them why you chose to do false color with the yellow instead of all of the greenery being pure white. You kind of went with the false color of the yellow, and it might just be what you like, and that's cool. But tell me that, because I'd be interested to know. IRs can be processed a million different ways. You could make those trees pink if you want to, so you can do some really neat stuff. We'd love to hear and see more for sure.
All right, thanks, Jose. Next is this one from Gina Clark.
Gina!
And Gina never gives us much information. She just
She's
says...
awesome like that, isn't she?
She is. The unknown princess is all she tells us here.
Very unknown, because I don't know anything. Well, it's a gorgeous little photo here in gorgeous light. I like the light coming in.
Into the window, yeah.
Yeah, I like the black and white. For me, Mike, there's the one thing issue that I had with this photo was the hand position was a little kind of wonky, and then the one hand is sort of cut off, and also she is centered in the photo. Mm-hmm. So I did a little editing. Would you want to share a screen and I could show you just my quick edit that I did, and maybe Gina will see this and have her see if she's inspired at all?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Let me know.
This is super. Yeah, I'm ready to go, man. So
wait a second then.
You got to do the reshare thing, yeah, because we got cut off. I'm sorry.
Don't you have to show me your
screen? Oh, do I? Oh, I thought we set this up earlier. Oh, we did, but then we, never mind. We did that. We didn't because we got cut off. All right, so yeah, let's do that. All right, there we go. That might be nice if I sent you a feed, right?
Yep. Okay.
I'm sorry it's not perfectly centered, but for some reason it doesn't want to go full screen. So yeah, it's just a typical mind of its own. So I just pulled this into Photoshop really quick. Super simple here. I'm just doing one thing, and that's a crop. And Gina, this is kind of what I mean. So all I did is, let me see. Yeah. Well, it's doing it's doing its own mindstorm of things here. So I'm just gonna do it from scratch. So I just have it set on original ratio because I like this format that she has here with the original shot. And I know this seems kind of drastic, but just follow with me here just real quick, and I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, so if you notice, I'm bringing this 1/3 mark right on her eye, and I'm doing that on purpose. And also, I'm going to tilt it a little bit because this window frame is tilted. And again, anytime you tilt anything like a window in an image, it automatically makes you it makes the image tense. So we don't want any tension here. This is not a tense image. So I know this seems very drastic, but if you don't, I feel that the image has much more power like this. Like it's now drawing me into her emotion more. Mm-hmm. And she's got negative space. I still get the light coming down from the top nicely. And so I just want to encourage Gina to think about not having your subject centered in the middle of the photo so much. Like use that background and that space that you have. She's looking towards the light or looking towards the window, and the light's got that nice cast on her. And so I just felt that had more power, and wanted to share that with Gina because I know she always pays attention to all that stuff. So
I don't know. I know to do that you have to put the eye. That puts the eye in the third, but it seems a little bit tight to me. Yeah, and I'm basically what I'm trying to tell you is this is not what I would do to this photo. Yeah, is I would have shot it differently, okay. Like so that there was more of negative space versus your subject rather than negative versus your subject. You have negative space up top, negative here, negative here. You literally have your subject surrounded by information in visuals. And when you take that away, this might not be the desired too close shot, but I'm showing the composition as, if you would have put her, and I can't move her, but if I would have moved her to here in this shot and left everything the same, distance, everything, but just had her over here in the third, this would have been, we would have just been drooling over the shot and gushing and saying, oh, this is amazing, rather than giving this suggestion. So that would be my only suggestion, is just always be real careful with targeting, what I like to call targeting your subject. Generally, when you put a person in the middle of the subject, it's a headshot.
Headshots generally didn't have fancy backgrounds in them because it's a headshot. You only need to see the face and the shoulders and the upper body. We don't care about the background. It's usually some, gray wash or something like that in the background. But here we have an interesting background that plays well into the story, yet it's fighting with the subject because it doesn't have its space to breathe along with the subject's space to breathe. And so we got to be careful with targeting our portraits. It is a thing that happens a lot if you don't have a movable focus point in your camera, because people will focus on that center point on the eye and they won't move their camera. The trick is to hold your shutter button down halfway so that your focus holds, or some lenses have a focus hold button on the side of the lens so that actually you can focus, hold, move to get your composition, snap the shot. So that should be the move.
And you can do that with back button focus too.
Right.
As long as you're not changing the plane.
Right, exactly. And so that's what you want to be thinking in your head is focus, compose, shoot. Focus, compose, shoot. Instead of just compose, shoot, or focus, compose, shoot without the compose in there. So just focus, shoot, which is what a lot of times we do because we think we don't want to move, we don't want to miss the moment, And so always remember to put the composition in there. And keep that strong. And that's all I'm trying to show. I would not have shot that as tight as well, Mike. So it was just more to show how, you move things around in the image a little bit. And I didn't have time to actually content-aware move. And
No, I get it. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, one more image, and there's no Mike image this time. So we're just going to do one more image.
Mike didn't have any time to submit any images, folks.
Why did Mike not have any time?
I don't know. He's preoccupied with other things.
Preoccupied.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's all my fault. It is my fault.
Looking for missiles in Sears. That's what I
Lowe's.
saw.
It was Lowe's.
Oh, was it Lowe's with Craftsman now in Lowe's? Okay.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even realize that was Craftsman. Yeah. Okay, this shot up from Norman Schultz. And he says, lift off, just working on my birds on an overcast gray day. I got to tell you, if you're into birding, taking bird shots, these big birds, these cranes like this, are great opportunities to practice on the birds in flight. They're big. They generally are not flying too fast when they're taking off and landing. And they're, if you're in an area where there's a lot of them, you can get a lot of practice shooting back and forth. So, Norman, I would say keep doing that. Keep shooting at them with your camera. And, you'll get better and better as you go. With that said, a few things here. I can tell... Probably, I think because it says overcast, he probably had to bump the ISO up quite a bit. And even then, he still didn't have enough shutter to freeze it, which is not necessarily bad. But, you
you like to see a little motion in the wings. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah. The thing for me is I think he caught some branches or some foreground.
Yep.
And you can see them as some of those little gray areas or whatever it is toward the bottom. One of them coming up by the legs and one in the water splash to the right of the image and then a little bit to the left. So that was, you're probably where you were, you're panning and you just caught it at that point and you got some of those branches in there. It's going to happen. There's not what you can really do about it. If they flew right there, you just have to wait for them to take off again and take another shot.
Well, yeah, and so let me shine a little bit of light on Norman's situation. So this is a great blue heron. We have a nesting pair in our backyard, which is awesome. But no matter what you do, you cannot get remotely close to these birds.
Yeah.
They barely move when they're hunting. They will, if they're very interesting to watch, they will pick up and move very slowly, and sometimes they'll freeze in mid-movement as they're stalking a fish or a frog or whatever. But they have very good eyes. And I can be in my house, no problem. What I'll do is we have a pond in our backyard, so I'll leave by the front door, very quiet. I'll slowly make my way around. We have a little shed out there, and I try to keep the shed between me and the bird. The minute I look out around that shed, that bird's gone. That bird's like, I'm out. And they nest there. They're very, very elusive. They're kind of like eagles. Eagles are the same way in the wild. They see you coming a mile away,
Yeah, yeah.
and they don't want any part of you. And herons are much like that. Now, with that said, I had an adventure this past summer. I've gotten into kayaking, and we do kayaking now. And we went to a creek at the end of a lake that kind of empties into a bog of reeds and wildlife and everything like that. And we went out into this nature preserve, and there was a heron out there, a great blue, and I literally paddled up to the point where I could almost reach out and touch this bird. And this bird did not care that I was there. I did not have my camera with me because I'm not confident on the kayak enough yet to haul, $10,000 worth of gear out with me. But seriously, if you're interested in getting pictures of these birds close up, there were swan there too. A little bit more dangerous with swans because swans will attack you. Yeah, they're not afraid of human. Yeah, our geese aren't too bad around here. There's so many of them. They're so used to humans. They're just like whatever. But herons are usually very flighty, and you can't get within probably 100 yards of them before they're like, nope, I'm out. They're pretty much scaredy cats when it comes to that stuff. But if you go to a nature preserve where they're used to seeing people on a regular basis, like floating by on a kayak, and they know that you'd have to get out of that kayak in order to get to them, you usually can get some pretty cool shots. And can't wait to go when the weather gets better now, because I'm going to be able to float right up to these birds and just get, these beautiful shots. Now, if you go to like a wetlands area, which maybe he was at a wetlands area, they're still very wild there and take off, but you'll have to position yourself so that you can so you don't have like the trees and weeds and stuff in front of you. So I deal with that here.
There's a place on my walking, if I go to a certain walking trail, where there's a marshy area. So there's a lot of junk there. It's not a good, clean, open space. Where there's some cranes, some of the big white cranes that go there. And every once in a while I get some blue herons, and they typically will stay at the edge where they're not getting too close to you. But I think because they see people so often, they're not quite as skittish around us. But what you have to basically do, you're still going to be a good ways away. And I can't remember what Norman had. I think he had an 18 to 400 or something like that.
400, yeah.
It was one of those ultra zooms or whatever that really wide, or maybe it's 80 to 400, whatever. I can't remember what it was, but it's like that. Which is probably an F5.6 or F6.3, something like that, where these guys are generally feeding in the morning or in the afternoon when you don't have a lot of light. Yep. So I typically bring a tripod or something to help me with it, and not the birds in flight. You're going to have a little bit of shutter speed. When they're still and doing something, you can get knock your shutter speed down a little bit. But I don't typically chase them too much. I will pick out a spot and try and stay there, and not move too much, and let them move in toward me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If they get comfortable with you, it's fine. We live in lake country up here, so the herons are basically, there's a lot of boaters. They pretty much are very wary of humans, and or else they'll end up dead somewhere. So, but they're gorgeous birds, and they're big. I mean, their wingspans are 6 feet or bigger. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see them.
They're fun to shoot. So keep doing it, Norman. Keep going out there and getting these guys in flight. And I've seen some of them land in trees. I've never even knew they would land in trees. But, yep. All right, Norman, thanks for submitting. And that wraps up for, whoops, that's not the photo I wanted, the shot I wanted. This is the shot I wanted. There you go. So that's the images for September. We're moving into October, and we need to get through these, AD.
Yeah, it's a busy time of year. We'll just keep going. I think we'll do one next week. We have one per month coming up through December, or is it still?
We may have to cram them in until we do that. We may have to do. We've been showing a lot of the photos. I think maybe we'll be more selective and do one for October, one for November. Maybe we'll do that.
Cool.
How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Before we head out, don't forget to go over to AD's site. He mentioned earlier that if you want connect with him and give him some ideas, or give him a photo and he can work on it, make a video for you, and you want to connect with him, go over to theexplorographer.com, then go to Who is AD? Little link right there. And there's a nice little photo of you. And scroll down, and there's your little contact form. So you can contact AD right through there. He's not on Facebook anymore, but
Nope.
you know, you got a contact form right there. You've got all his. Let's go back to the beginning. You know, all your other links are there too. And you got some great articles here. So if you haven't read any of his articles, he does a lot of work, not only in the photos themselves, where he puts a lot of effort into the shoot, but like this one that you did here at the Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia, you actually give a lot of story along with it. And I love that about your photography, that it's not just a snapshot, or it's not just a photo that you spent time with. You actually learn something about it along the way. And I think, I think that's incredible.
My whole goal with the blog, I mean, it used to be just to chronicle things I did. So, you know, when I turned my age that I am now, I wouldn't forget everything that I did. And, but I like to share like what happened while I was there and the feeling that I had while I was there. I think that started with like not a lot of confidence in my photo taking. So I would put a lot of dialogue and narrative with just about everything that I did so people would get it. And so, yeah. And now I just write in hopes to inspire other people to go to these places. And I try to connect with the people in the area and stuff and let them know that I'm going to be talking about them on my blog and sharing with others. And hopefully other people get to experience the same things that I do. So, yeah.
Thank you, AD. And then also thecreators.com over on Patreon. You can go there, and if you're a patron, you can give AD some ideas. Hey, I'd like to see you, maybe that thing you talked about, infrared. I don't know, you still shoot infrared, don't you?
Yes. Yep.
If you're wondering, hey, can you show me how to do infrared? If you're a patron of his, you can request that, and maybe he'll do it in a future video where you can come and watch it live or watch it afterwards. So
yeah, and after Christmas, we'll be rolling back in live streams and producing more videos. Right now, I am on a once in 5 year break. So
you're a busy guy, and it's you know, hey, it's a good time to take a break. So, but go over and check out thecreators.com over on Patreon, and consider becoming a patron. It's not that expensive. You know, you can start from $1, depending on what you're wanting. There's some higher level ones there too. I know for Janice Sullivan, you help her produce her show.
Yeah, she does. Yep, she has her own teaching that she does in macro photography, and Janice Sullivan was a student of mine, and she's a film and art major and from California, and she specializes in macro and micro photography, and she has the macro photography live chat show that we do. And I basically, just like you, Mike, I produce a show for her. And I don't appear on the show, although I am appearing on the show, the next show that we do, I think, no, one after the next. Okay. December 20th, Janice and I are finally going to appear on the show together, and we're going to be wearing Christmas hats and being silly and having a Christmas party with everybody. So I'll be announcing that on the Patreon page, and that'll be open to everybody. You don't have to be a member of Patreon to do that. But yeah, I mean, if you have ideas, like maybe you want to, like, how can I sell my photos, or what are the first steps to doing an art show? How do I make videos for my photos? All of that stuff is what I specialize in. So, and on top of that, I'm also there if you want to ring me up and say, man, I'm not feeling creative today. What can I do, or what can I do to fix this photo and to help me get over this roadblock? That's basically what I do, is open up my world to everyone else. I do not push people. I do not. I'm not a person who's like, what are you doing today? What have you done this? I'm not that person.
It's your own pace, huh?
You got to go at your own pace. And I look for people who want to learn, who are bitten by the bug. I know all of my life, when I've wanted to learn something, it's been like an infection with me, and I can't get over it until I learn it. Mm-hmm. So it was like that for guitar and drums and in my music career, and building motorcycles and learning to do that stuff. Was all of that was was obsessed with everything. When I want to learn it, I'm obsessed with it, and I've got to learn it. And so that's what a lot of people struggle with roadblocks in that obsession. So I try to help those that are obsessed reach their goals. That's basically, I guess, I've never had to explain it, so I guess that's as good as I can do. So.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, AD. Thank you for everybody coming out live on Facebook and on YouTube. And we'll be back next week, I guess.
Yes.
We'll be back next week doing the October. So we're going to try and do the October ones, October and November, in a single show. So one October show, one November show.
There you
instead
go.
of the part 1, part 2 thing, and sometimes even part 3. But until next week, keep shooting. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right. There we go. Yeah, you said people who want to learn. Whenever my kids were younger, we told them, "Hey, look, there's your bike." We told them we wanted to get them get involved in sports, but they had to pick the sport themselves. It really didn't work. It didn't work until my oldest became in high school, and then he really wanted to be a swimmer. And I said, okay, if you want to be a swimmer, you go do it. And he went out, and he had not done it through his life, and he's competing against kids who have been swimming since they were little, and he didn't make the team. He's in a high school where you got to try out and do certain things to make the team. He didn't make the team as a freshman, and I thought, oh boy, that's so, it's so defeated that he's just going to go back, and this is going to be really a setback for him. It did just the opposite, because he wanted to do it. He went out and worked hard, and that next year he easily hit all the targets, and he swam on a team for the next 3 years.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think that I think it's like, I'm teaching adults, so adults make those decisions where they want to do stuff, and so and I run into a lot of people who are like, I'd like to take photos. Who can show me everything I need to know about taking photos? And it's like, no, you can. Everybody teaches. I mean, you can find a million videos. The world is full of it. But you're going to get stuck at some point. And I'm that guy who comes along when you're stuck, and it's going to help you get to that next thing. Which I've been blessed my entire life. I'm so grateful that I don't experience roadblocks. So
that's good.
I've said it before. I know it's hokey, but I blame it on Star Wars. When I was 14 years old, which is a study I did when I was teaching guitar, I noticed that boys at the age of 14 become very rebellious against their parents. And it's usually, within a year or so. It's not every kid's not 14 years old, of course. But boys tend to want to identify themselves at that age. Girls are more like at 12 years old. And when I was teaching guitar lessons, I set my limits. Girls were, I would start, if girls wanted to learn, they had to be 12 years old or older. Boys had to be 14 or older, with parents' consent, of course. And it was because the way I taught, I would know the kind of music they wanted to learn. I would get them playing at least a little bit of it, and that would ignite. At those ages, I would get an ignition in them, which earlier, it wouldn't. I would just be hand-holding earlier. And so at that age, they're really wanting to identify with their music or something in their lives. Poetry, It doesn't matter what it is. They need to establish, I am not my parents. I am myself. And only years later, they realize, I am my parents. Yep. Right? I'm not myself. You're your parents, but you plus yourself, right?
Yeah.
So kids all go through that. And I was 14 years old. Star Wars left that impression on me. When I left that movie, I'd never seen anything like that before. And the message I got was, you can do anything you believe. The force is that if you believe you can do it, you can do it. And even though it was a movie, that stuck in my brain. And for years, I just went, everything I went at, I'm like, you know what? If it's out there and it can be done, I'm a human being. Yep. I'm going to do it.
Somebody else did it. I can do it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
So this bike that you're showing us here, this is not a chopper.
No, it's not. That is the bike. When I bought it, it was a 2001 Harley-Davidson Sportster 883. And it was basically this guy in my neighborhood had it for sale. It was parked in his garage. He suffered an injury at work, and he had just bought the bike.
Yeah, it looks great.
And his doctor would not allow him to go and get his license. So it was basically he bought a brand new bike and had to sell it to me.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It looks like it's pristine. Like,
yeah, so I bought this for $6,500, which was a steal for a Harley back then. Yeah. I did some basic backyard customization to it. So I'm going to take you through on a little journey here of my different photos of what I did to this. It's a little different path. So this was the first customization that I did to the bike. I added some grips up here, some custom grips. I put on, let's see, what else did I do? Custom rear shocks. These gold shocks or silver shocks back here were not that when I started building on this bike. Okay. And then I changed out that stuff. I'm going to have a million of these things open. It's kind of the evolution of this bike. All right. So the next step was I put on these mirrors up here. These were the new mirrors, these diamond mirrors. Mm-hmm. I put in a Screaming Eagle air cleaner, and then I did wrapped Bassani pipes, which these were custom pipes, and then new foot pegs on here as well. This was my daily driver back and forth to work. And so I just lived, up the road. Yeah. Now you might notice on the back of this bike, there's a little bit of off. Well, look, it's a solo seat, but look at the fender in the back. Yeah, see that dent?
Yep.
There, and yeah. So what happened is I was riding my bike to work, and I had stopped at a stoplight, and while I was at the stoplight, no, I'm sorry, these are small. These were taken on a Motorola Razr. So there's my license plate if you want to see it. So while I was stopped at the light, a gentleman in an SUV proceeded to hit me from behind and threw me up on top of this vehicle right here. So you see this truck?
Yeah.
My front wheel was in the back of this truck.
Holy crap.
I was on the sidewalk. He broke my mirrors. I didn't suffer any injuries myself.
Broke your shifter or your brake?
Broke my shifter off.
Clutch.
That was my clutch lever. Sorry. And then this was how he jammed this all up. This was my fender.
Well, you're lucky it's just that damage. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, it was a pretty bad accident. It was. I think I ended up. I think the insurance awarded me somewhere around $1,600 for the damage that was done. I took it to a shop. They were like, yeah, it's going to cost you $1,600. Do you want us to do the work? And I said, I think I'm going to get the parts. I'm going to do the work myself. So I did the work myself, and this is the bike I made.
Wow, that looks good.
So I got lower shocks in the back. I custom painted a teardrop tank and everything for it, new fenders. Basically, all the parts that were broken, I just bought parts off eBay that I could paint and everything, put a little bit of chrome here and there. And this was the bike that I pretty much I rode around for quite a while. Now, I did some other work to it. I'm just going to go through these quick. I ended up taking the rear sissy bar off because I really like this chopper lowrider kind of look. And I rode this around for quite a while. And then I got a divorce. Weird, huh?
Yeah.
And when I got a divorce, my brain kind of broke. And I suddenly started making crazy changes to my bike.
What is that thing on the back?
That is a Devil's Tail sissy bar, and it was a custom made sissy bar for my bike. So this was basically with the pipes on it. Now we still got that. I went with the now I have under mirrors now instead of over. I like the drop mirrors. So these are all customizations that I did myself. I had converted the motor to a 1250 at this point. So we bored out the cylinders, did a conversion kit on it, and basically honed the cylinder heads so that I was at a 1250, and it ended up looking like that. And then Mike,
oh boy,
I really snapped. I met my now permanent like mate, I guess you'd call her, Danielle.
Yeah.
I took all the stuff off. I took an angle grinder to it. I sanded all of the paint off. I'm like, no, I don't want paint anymore. This is all custom work that I did in my shop. This is all paint stuff that I put on in my shop, as you can see. My bike torn apart there in the back. I went with a copper and nickel look. Is what I wanted, because I had an idea for the name of the bike, because I wanted to make a custom chopper.
Okay.
So this is how it came out after I did it. And then there was a clear coat over all this engine turned metal. So this was all done by hand with a pneumatic sander to get that look to it, and then the paint, obviously. But that's that same fender that was dark blue on the other bike.
Yeah.
So just decided to, and then the pipes went black.
Yeah.
With the wrap on them. And of course, the bike looks pretty ripped right now as I was working on it. I took a lot of the dressy chrome stuff and chucked it in the garbage. And this is the new tank, which was a teardrop kind of old school Harley tank. There it is on the actual bike. I was trying to get a visual of what I wanted to go with.
Yeah.
And then this was the striping and the copper and steel, or copper and nickel. And the reason why I went with the copper and nickel was because I had an idea for a logo. These are all the sprockets, paint and all that. And this is kind of the finish work. This is after the clear coat went on it. And then you can see I inlaid a 1964 penny into my choke cable. And this was the year I was born. So I found a penny with the year I was born. So I put that, inlaid that perfectly into my choke cable. And this is the name of the bike, the Sixth Sense, which was kind of a theme I was going on back then. And I made this graphic and then cut it all out. And then after I cut it out, I cut out the actual masking for it. And once the masking was all done, I did an airbrush over the top of that. And then once you're done with that, you pulled it off and you got this nice coppery kind of logo on there. And then I would clear coat over the top of that. Wow. This is all custom work. And then at the end, the payoff, there it is on the bike itself. The payoff at the end was, here it is, kind of putting it together. And I actually ended up, I think, taking that nacelle off the front of it. There it is. That's the completed bike after I had finished it. So it ended up as a chopper. So
wow,
I did a couple of, I did a lot of work.
You did a lot of work, yeah.
I did a couple of 600-mile trips with it. This is my old house, actually, where I lived.
So what ended up happening to it?
I think when I started teaching at the Arcanum, I was working so much that Danny and I just didn't go anymore. I had a seat that would go on this so she could ride on it as well, a pad that went in the back. And this is basically, there's shocks in the back, but this is pretty much a hardtail bike. Mm-hmm. So there was no cushion. You see how low that fender is to the wheel. There isn't really, there was no suspension. So
you felt everything.
Yeah, as we got older, it just became really tough for us to go and take trips on on the bike. But I've got detailed all of the details of all of the work that I did this was a blow-by installation for the carburetor, and this was a carbureted bike, so I did a lot of this work. And I would post on forums and show people oh, this is how you make this modification, or change this up so it doesn't leak anymore. So yeah, all sorts of fun stuff. So I was really heavily into that sort of thing. I don't know. I think there's some photos of me someplace, and I don't know where they're at, of me actually on the bike. And at the time, those days, I was sporting I used to have really long hair, went all the way down to the middle of my back, and
wow.
I had a long goatee. So I think I might have a. If you want to see, I don't know if I have a photo of me from then. It was a long time ago. But yeah, so we used to just go all over the place with these groups of guys, or Danny and I would just get on the bike and on the weekend, and that's what we would do. We'd take off and go riding, and And yeah, so I'll stop my screen share there if you want. If I find the other photo, I'll share it with you guys before we're done here. But I know Mike's got an appointment he's got to get to, so
I
we
do.
might not.
We both do. Yeah. No, that is super cool. My son just bought a Yamaha 650, I think it is. His first bike, and as a parent,
That's a good bike to begin with. It's fairly low center of gravity. Yeah.
But as a parent, I'm super nervous about him riding around that because that guy that hit you. If you run into the back of another car, and depending on how hard you do it, it's just good. Okay, let's trade insurance and stuff like that. You hit a bike the same way you hit a car. That would have been just maybe a fender bender for the car. You could do some serious damage. And so, I worry more about the other idiots on the road when he's out there on his bike.
Yeah. So the rule of thumb is if you're a motorcyclist, it's not if you crash, it's when.
Yeah.
So if it's not you, it's somebody else. Most accidents are other people hitting you, generally, because, that's what happens. Well, they don't see you.
Yeah, when I was teaching them to drive cars, and there's only so much you can do. I mean,
right.
But I told them, look, driving is all about defense. It's assume every idiot on the road, every other person on the road is an idiot, and they're trying to hit you.
Right.
Never trust any of those people, and watch out for all of them. Don't make lane changes without looking, and when it's like when you're riding, you're driving, you pay attention to the car in front of the car in front of you and the car behind you.
Right.
So you can help. So you can help all those guys out to not hit you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm hoping he'll do some of that with his bike.
Yeah. It's I mean,
so far he's been very cautious.
Even if you're you gotta be confident.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things like I never got into an accident myself on the bike, and I was pretty crazy on it. But I grew up on two wheels. I mean, I don't think there was a point between the times that I was 3 years old or 4 years old and the time that I was 25 years old that I wasn't on a bike. I mean, bikes and me, I was the kid who, did the wheelies. I was the kid who jumped the bike over cars and all that crap. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I never got injured from it either. I was always able to, I don't know what it is, land on my feet or something. I don't know. But again, blessed, I guess, with that ability. Yeah. But but I know, people, like we went on this 600-mile trip to New York City from where I live, round trip. So it's 300 miles down, 300 miles back. And we called it the hardcore trip because generally doing like 600 miles in one day on a bike is, you normally get a patch for the 1,000-mile guys get a patch for doing 1,000 miles in one day. And we were kind of, all of us were working towards that at the time. Weird life goals, right? So we had a sign up for this thing called the hardcore ride, and essentially I was the bike leader. So I set up the ride. I was going to take point for the ride and everything. I was responsible for everybody behind me and to make sure that no person's left out there behind. No one was in danger, that sort of thing. And everything went great. We got into New Jersey, and we're in the backwoods of New Jersey, on our way to New York. And we just finished lunch, and we come out of lunch, and we're going around this corner doing 30 miles an hour. And a guy in the middle of the pack, for some unknown reason, tried to put his foot down when he went around the corner. Now, if you're a dirt bike rider, you put your foot down all the time. That's one thing. You're a Harley rider, your feet don't go down. I would pull up to a light and my feet would go down probably 20 seconds after I was balancing there. I mean, it was like I rarely put my feet down. And this guy tried to put his foot down going around the corner, and his foot hit the peg of his bike, and his foot went back and into his wheel. He dumped his bike, was laying in the middle of the road, bleeding all over the place because he had severed part of an artery.
Oh, my gosh.
It was absolutely horrible, and all of us were kind of like looking at each other going like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I don't know. I went around the corner, and I just was putting my foot down.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's just
why?
his natural, his reflex just did it.
Well,
Didn't
it's
think
not.
about
It
it.
should be natural. Yeah, if
you're
you're
a
a Harley
biker,
rider or a biker,
It
you
shouldn't be.
don't. Yeah, there's no natural reflex to put your
But you
foot down.
know, but the problem is, like, let's say my son, he didn't grow up on two wheels like you did, so
Yeah.
he has his natural reflexes are from riding a bicycle, where you
Yeah.
can put your foot down.
Right. Oh yeah, sure.
And so, now you just gave me another thing to worry about because
Uh,
that may be his natural reflex to do something like that.
Well, in I don't know. When you take your bike test, is he enrolled in a bike safety course?
Not yet. I've been pushing him to do it, and he needs to do
Don't
it.
just demand it.
Yeah.
Just demand it. But A, is he paying his own insurance, Mike?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. He's going to get a huge break on his insurance. Tell him if you'd like to like not spend so much money of his
Yeah.
money on insurance, go take the safety course. First of all, he's going to meet a lot of cool people when he does it. He's going to meet other bikers, which is always fun.
Yeah.
He's going to learn a lot from it, and it's a piece of cake. I mean, it's really a simple drive a figure eight
It's
course.
not that
drive
expensive either.
violence. No,
Yeah.
it's not that expensive, and it saves you on your insurance down the road, man. I would highly suggest he takes a motorcycle safety course. They're very informative, very good.
Yeah.
So and a little less pressure on you there
That's
too.
true. Yeah. See, guys, you hang out for the post show, you never know what you're going to get. Some Fallout
Oh, here's-
76, some biker stuff.
There you
You
go.
just
There's
never know.
Danny and I
Hold
together.
on. I got to get that. Everybody's going to want to see that. There you go.
They're at World's End. Me on my best badass look. So
There you go.
that was after I shaved. So this was actually she and I have been together for 15 years now. So this was probably 10 years ago. I'm going to say 10 years ago.
Okay.
That might be longer than 10 years because this was when we first moved into the new house. So we had that house for 10 years. So yep, that's us 10 years ago. I don't think my friends have photos of us, but I don't have any.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Just going to see if I could find one
That's
of the.
before you made all the changes to the bike because the tank is still black.
Yeah, I still had that tank on there. That it was interesting that what caused me to want to change that tank was that tank had a leak in it, and actually on this very ride, it had a leaky. We fixed it on the road. One of the things you learn, Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance is to be able to fix things on the fly, or else you're walking. So, so then the interesting thing there was that I was able to fix the leak on the way, but it's a pretty shocking thing when you're on the road and all of a sudden you've got to deal with leaking gas splashing on your leg, and you're on something that's actually like breathing fire because
bad things can happen.
bad things can happen.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great image to end the stream here with tonight.
All right, man.
Does she go? Is it Danny, Danielle? What does she like to go by?
Danny.
Danny. Okay. You and Danny at the end. There we go. All right. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.
See you.